So today on the Touchdown with Aaron Masemola, we are talking to a cricketer that hails from the Free State. He currently applies his trade for the VKB Knights. And of course, he's a man that is incredibly lethal with a cricketing bat in his hand. He's played for the Proteas against the Aussies. We saw him feature in the T20 as well. But most importantly, in terms of his first-class career, he has actually smashed a massive 6,644 runs and also has taken more than 80 catches behind the stumps as a wicketkeeper. A great family man. Please help me to introduce Pite van Biljon. Pite, how are you doing today?
Good and yourself. Thanks for having me.
Good. I'm doing very, very well. Now, Pite, the main thing that really caught my attention as I was doing my research and getting to know you a little bit better in terms of your cricketing career and some of the amazing things that you've done is that I personally know you as Pite van Biljon, but something caught my attention that your full names are actually Petrus Johannes van Biljon. That's something that caught my attention. That's something that many people don't know.
Yeah, obviously I was christened Petrus Johannes van Biljon. My granddad, my dad, his brother, etc. They're all Petrus Johannes van Biljon, but my granddad's name was Pite.
Yeah.
So when I'm in South Africa, the South Africans tend to pronounce Pite a little bit better than the English. So if I go to England and I just say, listen, I'm PJ, because every time I introduce myself as Pint, I think it's a pint of beer. I think I'm joking. So PJ or Pite will be fine.
Great stuff. No, that's nice to hear. Listen, Pite, please take me a little bit through your upbringing, your journey with discovering the wonderful sport of cricket, but also a little bit of your family life in terms of your upbringing.
Yeah, I started cricket very young. I'd say sub A, or what's it, grade 1 now, at Grey College in Bloemfontein, where I went to school. I played a whole bunch of sports. The school really encourages kids to get busy with sport. So I think at one stage I had 7 sports on the go: rugby, tennis, cricket, everything. Cricket and hockey was kind of what I aligned to, what I liked a little bit more. Maybe the bat and the ball sport in a team environment, stuff like that. So yeah, primary school, Grey College. Remember my dad waking up at 5:30, 6 a.m., throwing me balls in the mornings in primary school, just, because I wanted to practice. And he saw me excel, so he wanted me to do well as well. High school, Grey College as well. Cricket and hockey went side by side. I actually did a little bit better in hockey through SA schools and SA under 16 teams, where cricket was, I just got into the provincial sides most of the time. Cricket only really excelled after, I'd say, when I was 16, 17, going into matric, where I had a very good year with the bat. I won the Coke Week with the Free State team. I got a bursary to go and study at Tux, and then the cricket just kicked off from there.
Definitely. And I think I love what you mentioned there. Throughout your journey, you've always been so involved in terms of your cricket. And of course, you mentioned there that hockey was also one of those that one of the sports that you really enjoyed as well. I would love to talk about family. You mentioned that your dad used to throw you balls in the morning. And now that you're a great family man, I mean, you've got a beautiful wife and also a daughter as well. How important is family to you, and also the support that they give you throughout your career?
I think firstly, my family from my side is very much into sport. My dad was a Springbok. My mom played a lot of netball, tennis, everything. My sister is an Olympian in swimming. So the sport really is deep in my family's veins. So they've definitely, when I was in deep waters, thinking, where's my career going? They support me, said, no, just keep going, just keep going. And then obviously I met my wife, Jess, which also loves sport, very good runner, played good netball as well. So that kind of fitted in nicely, and it was easy to keep going when times are tough, because you're sitting with a family that knows what it's about, and when times are tough. Yeah, so family, the support base you have is important. And for me, obviously, it's kept me in the game.
Definitely. And of course, you mentioned your wife. Of course, you guys have been married for 6 years. And many people have also asked the question, is Pite a romantic? Are you romantic?
I'd say now that we have a kid, romance is a glass of wine and a high five. and obviously 3 dogs, household, she's a teacher, so she's busy as well. So I'd say when we have time, we like to do something special, maybe go out for dinner and or maybe cook something nice at home. So I wouldn't say overly romantic, but I'd say in the grey area, yeah.
All right, all good. I mean, at least you do your fair amount of making sure that she's happy and she's got a smile on her face. And then your beautiful daughter, I've seen on social media that you guys are having fun during this lockdown. I saw you pulling her there with a sledge there in the backyard. How important is your daughter, and especially for us as gentlemen? Sometimes we talk about legacy and what a family can mean to you. How important and how special is she to you?
Very special, obviously. She's a really good kid. Very funny, very clever. She keeps us on our toes. She's got a hell of a personality. So for us, it brings the family together. Both sets of grandparents. Obviously now have a little one that they can spoil and all that. So she definitely brought the whole family together. It's very important. Yeah.
Oh, that's absolutely beautiful. And I know that you're also a man that when you're not on the cricketing field, you enjoy a good round of golf. And of course, you enjoy some rugby as well. Toyota Cheetahs rugby, since you are from the Free State as well. Quick question. If you weren't a cricketer and you had to find yourself on the rugby field, what position would you play?
Probably the position that gets the least amount of contact. I'd be one of those guys who sits on the bench for 78 minutes and then 2 minutes on the coach will go, let's get the bench on. And I'll probably be there on the wing. I don't know why. Not the quickest guy in the world, but I'll probably be hiding on the wing there somewhere.
Definitely. I mean, in terms of the rugby field, they call those the impact players. So I suppose you'll have your impact in the last 5 minutes as well, and maybe just score a quick try since you will be on the wing as well. Just to take you back in terms of your cricketing journey and how early that began for you, you particularly mentioned the fact that you were able to get a bursary from the University of Pretoria. Then in terms of your honors, you went down to PE and you started playing Northerns at the age of 21. How important is that journey in terms of the process of learning cricket? Because I think sometimes youngsters just believe that you are just born great and all of these opportunities are just given to you. What is the hard work and the process that you had to go through to achieve these small milestones, but also these processes created the opportunities that you had and also put you in the position that you are in today?
Yeah, my road wasn't the smoothest, clearest path to the Proteas, if I can put it like that. I didn't play SA schools. I didn't go to National Academy. I didn't get into senior provincial teams straight away. So I had to really, I left Bloem to Pretoria, so I kind of started at the bottom there. There was a coach there, Shafiq Abrams, that saw a little bit of potential. Because we won the Coke Week and I was captain of the Free State side, but again, I didn't get into the SA school side. So he picked me in the second team to start off with. The first team had guys like Faf du Plessis, AB de Villiers. They were probably the best university team ever. So I really had to do well in the second team to get into the first team firstly. Then the Northerns team, at that stage, the Titans and Northerns were very good teams. I think that year, my first or my second year, the Titans beat the Proteas twice in 2 one-day games. So they were serious. It was really difficult to get into those teams. So when I got in, I was never cemented. Talent got me, a small foot in the door, an opportunity to go to Ducks. But I really had to work my socks off and outperform guys massively just to get an opportunity. And I think kids these days or young players these days, they think I am talented, I need to get an opportunity. And if they get that opportunity, and life doesn't always work like that where you take that opportunity straight away. Sometimes you're going to fail and you're going to get dropped. And a lot of guys, when they get dropped, they're like, no, I'm finished with cricket, I'm going to go start working, or I don't know how to handle this. Where if you have the talent and you stick to working hard, and you know what you want and you know that you're good enough, if you are good enough, you'll get to the top, or you get to where you want to be. Eventually, I'm 34 and I just got to play for the Proteas now. So
yeah, Very true. I love what you mentioned there in terms of some of the challenges that you will go through, and especially being dropped. What would you say in terms of the mental process, the mindset that one should have when you are being dropped from particularly maybe a first team and moving down to a second or third team? What is that one thing that you should actually tell yourself? Because sometimes we do get discouraged and we don't see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Uh, a coach told me a very good thing when I was at University of Pretoria, Grant Morgan. He said, for you to get into the next team or the team that's just above you, you must have a relationship with the coach of that team or a communication channel with that coach. So the coach must know who you are. You know, you need to be able to phone the coach and have a chat to him. Coach, where do you see my game? What do I need to do to get into that team? You have to be the fittest condition that you can be, you know, your top shape. And then obviously for me as a batsman, he said you must score 300s out of the next 5 innings. So performance, obviously, fitness, conditioning, and the relationship with that coach, so he knows who you are. So now if you get dropped, it's obviously you're going to be despondent because you want to play in a higher team than what you have been playing. But it's also an opportunity for you to go back, maybe step back a little bit and say, right, what do I need to do? This is an opportunity for me to change my game a little bit, to improve my game, to go and test it at maybe a little bit lower level. It's almost like a practice level, you know, because now the bowling is a little bit less quick, spinners are a little bit worse. So you can actually now say, right, I can go and score runs. I've worked on my sweep because I feel like I get tucked up in the spinners in the first team. Now I can work on it. I can get that skill grooved. I've got an opportunity to go and execute that. If you look at a guy like Tennis De Bruyne, for example, got dropped out of the Proteas setup. He's a very good batsman. Came back. It's almost like he had a mindset where I can reset now. This is an opportunity to reset, to be better when I go back up there. It's not the end of the world. You always have the opportunity to get back in. All you have to do is score more runs than the other guy, outperform the other guy, and you will get back in.
Very
Not once
true.
or twice.
Yeah.
Consistently do it.
Definitely. I love what you mentioned there about consistency, because the one thing that many South Africans have seen from your cricketing career, and I believe that you've got many more years to go in the industry as well, is consistency. And that big moment that really shone out for many South Africans is, of course, in 2018 when a new competition was introduced, the Mzansi Super League, and we all know how important that fast pace of cricket is for international cricket as well. But when we saw you score that massive 42 runs off of the 13 balls in your first season for the Jersey Stars, and you guys, of course, went on to win the first edition of the tournament as well in South Africa. How important was that tournament? But also, I feel to a large extent that many South Africans then started to talk about Pite van Biljon as a great possible Protea batsman as well.
Yeah, at the Knights, I always played behind really good players, Riley Rousseau, Dean Elgar, Proteas and really good players. And when I started breaking through, they were ahead of me in the queue. So it was always difficult to get consistent game time, behind players like that. So when I came in, I did all right, but never consistently had the opportunity to bat for 10 games or play 10 games and be one of the leading run scorers in the country. I had good stats because I did reasonably all right when I played. Then I got picked up. I probably got picked up on my stats more than on actual performances, because the year before that I played no 2020s for the Knights, and the year before that I only played 3. So it must be I was lucky that someone saw my stats and that I had decent stats. They gave me opportunity. I remember I went into the team thinking I'm probably going to play one game. Yeah, I'm sitting with a bunch of superstars. And played the first game. It was a warm-up game against the Spartans. I think I made 35 of 21 balls not out. Just batted, didn't think like it's a warm-up game anyway. Enoch Inkwe was the coach. It's now the Protea assistant coach. He obviously liked what he saw. Played the first game. I think the first game I made 2 or something. So not a good start. We lost the game so badly. Remember, my wife sent me a message saying, listen, you better pull up your socks because there's guys on the bench that want to play. Second game went a little bit better. I made 21 odd. And then the third game didn't bat, but we won. We were in a bad space. We lost 3 out of 4 games, bottom of the log. Then we went to that Pretoria game where I think Dane Villas He just said, guys, we just got to go out and play and back yourself. And I remember we had a good start, but the middle overs, we slowed down a little bit. So the message from the side was, guys, we've got to go hard now. It was 3 overs left when I went in. So I remember Vilas told me, we looked at the field for my second ball. He said, Robbie Frying's probably going to bowl a knuckleball, yeah? I was like, yes, where am I going to hit this guy? And Vilas said, no, don't worry, just hit the ball. And I hit it, and it went for 6. And then the next one, he changed the field, and I kind of knew what he was going to try and do, and I got one away on the offside for 4. And then you got momentum. You're sitting on 10 or 11 off 3 balls. Then everything's going, because you've got to let the dogs out in those last 2 overs. And luckily that day it came off well. It's a great ground as well to hit 4s and 6s. That tournament obviously I wouldn't say changed my career, but I always saw myself as more of a red ball, good technique, try and get into good positions, try and get into the test team player. And here I am sitting playing 2020 for South Africa, where I kind of thought, well, 2020 is a little bit of a hit and giggle.
Yeah.
So obviously that.
Definitely. And I think sometimes in terms of the cricketing world, a lot of cricketers want to play more test cricket, because that's almost like the ultimate form of the game, where you actually get to test yourself against the best in the world as well. Now, looking at your career, I mean, there are so many different moments that can really stand out for you, whether that be domestic cricket, whether that be international cricket as well. But a lot of fans have also asked the question that I should specifically ask you is, what's that one moment in your career that truly stands out for you the most amongst everything else that you've won? For example, you've won the Mzansi Super League in your first season with the Jersey Stars. You were in the final yet again last season in terms of the Mzansi Super League with the Tshwane Spartans as well. But what's that one moment that really stands out for you?
I'd say in my career, obviously, the moment that stands out is playing for South Africa, getting your first cap. I mean, that feeling, or just the call that you're going to be drafted into the Proteas team. Funny story, I flew from Bloemfontein to Johannesburg. Though I didn't have any travel kit or anything like that from the Proteas yet, because I haven't met up with the team. So there I was sitting, I checked in already. I was a little bit before the rest of the team arrived. I was sitting there in my casuals, and the whole England team arrived, and they all were like sitting around me there in the space where we were sitting. None of them recognized me. None of them obviously knew who I was, because I was just with my casuals. And there I was thinking, checking these guys out, listening to what they were saying, thinking, oh, these guys, this is so embarrassing. They don't even know who I am, and I know exactly who everyone here is. And luckily, about 20 minutes later, the guys came through and they gave me my kit. All of a sudden, Tom Curran, who I played with, was like, "Hey, Pite, what are you doing here?" So that was obviously I like getting into the SA team. But I'd say the defining moment of my career was probably my first franchise game. Was Knights against the Cobras in Cape Town. Obviously, it was my first game playing at Newlands. Walked in there, you see the mountain and all the history that goes into that place. And I think we haven't beaten the Cobras in a 4-day game in something like 17 years or something like that, or at Newlands. And I remember, I think I made 100 in the first innings, where we were a little bit in trouble, and the bowling attack was Rory Kleinveld, Patterson, Björn Hendricks, Justin Kemp, and Dane Pitt, who have all played for South Africa. So I was thinking, geez, like I'm out of my depth here. Anyway, but made 100 that game. We won it, I think, with 3 or 4 overs to go. On the last day, Johan van der Walt, Dane Pitt threw the covers there for 4. So that was like, and I remember going after that game thinking, I am broke, knackered. The concentration levels I had to endure for 4 days here playing against these guys, the effort level and all that. But that was like, this is where I want to be. This is the level of cricket I want to play. So that made me realize, listen, okay, I've got a lot of hard work. I made 100, but it was off, I think it was off 240 balls or something. So I realized, look, my game is not necessarily there for, to compete against these guys and to put match-winning performances in and where I wanted to be. So from there on, I kicked on. So, yeah, that's where it started, I'd say.
Definitely. And I think many cricketers especially in your younger years, you dream of donning that green and gold for the Proteas. And I mean, you had the opportunity to do that against the Aussies early this year. And I would like to know, and I mean, and especially if this is your dream, it's something that becomes very emotional and it's something that you live for. The evening before you played your first game, what was going through your mind? I mean, could you sleep? Were you having a restless night? Like, what was going through your body? Were you excited? Were you nervous?
Um, I'd say mentally I was okay. I've kind of seen myself play for the Proteas, in dreams, and as you see yourself and visualize yourself. I've seen it plenty of times, hoping, trying to be ready. I've seen the Aussies, making it, dreaming about playing against the Aussies, especially for a very long time. So I wasn't that nervous, to be honest, going into the game. In the warm-up, I was a little bit nervous. More so, the warm-ups with Bouch and Enoch is pretty intense when it comes to the catching bit, and I had a split webbing that week from the week before, so I had it strapped up quite heavily, and I was a bit worried about dropping a catch in the warm-up, and Bouch telling me, no, you're not playing, here on the side. So that was my worry, was more about being able to do my job in the field, and I think I dropped a catch. I did drop a catch in my first game on the boundary there. Myself and Kagiso right next to each other, they're going for a catch. So batting-wise, I wasn't really worried. I knew what I wanted to do with my game. I knew where my game was at that stage. So I'd say the nerves were more in the field because of the sore or the split webbing. Yeah. But I
Definitely.
think when you get on to that stage and you're not contracted, you're not. It's almost like it's my country. It is my country against your country. So what
Yeah.
is my job here? My job is how to do this. So you forget about fear of failure, really. So
That's very true. And of course, that moment when Dwayne Pretorius handed you your first test cap. And I mean, when you're playing in a national setup, it's actually incredibly important to learn from some of the players that are actually around you, because those are some of the best in the world, we can say, not just the best in South Africa. Who are some of the special players that you've learned something incredible from, but also in terms of the players that have had a positive impact? I mean, looking at the likes of Dwayne Pretorius, who handed you your first cap, David Miller, who's also been a great impact player in your career as well. Who are some of the names that really stand out from you that you've learned from?
obviously the guys that I started with at the Knights, a guy like Buta Dippenaar, when I started, was a big player here at the Knights when I was still playing for Free State. When I went to Pretoria, big guys there were Martin van Jaarsveld. I'm just trying to. Pierre Dubard was the captain of the Northern team. He's now Titan CEO. So guys like that in the team really helped me mold my game and help me to know when to do what more often than not. I think the biggest thing with a guy that's being successful and a guy that's not so successful is knowing when to play your shots and when not to. In recent times, obviously the guys who have had a big impact was more coaches. The players from the player side at the Josie Stars, I wouldn't say it was one individual that had an impact on me there. It was more the collective as a group and the way we played. A guy like Simon Armour, who I've played with in PE, obviously had massive success at Essex, and he was in our team that side. So the culture and the off-the-field environment that we created there was very much a learning curve for me and how we wanted to do things. But then the next year I went to the Spartans, and there I got to play with Morne Moko, AB de Villiers, and these guys, and then Proteas, obviously Dale Steyn. So AB, Morne, and Dale was my, since they started playing, I was like, these guys are the guys I want to, meet and play with and or play against and all that. So the way AB trained massively, people think this guy's just super talented and, you can just pick up a ball, but the way that guy trains is unbelievable. He's the last guy off the field taking catches. We see him do these special things in the field, but when we train, he's always the last. Give me a few more cover catches, a few more direct hits, always looking for a quicker, better way to do things. when we bat, obviously from a talent point of view, it helps him a little bit. We had a drill there where Boucher said it's competition time. You get 18 balls on the bowling machine, most sixes, so he put the bowling machine on the middle strip, and all the top 7 batters were there, batted up, waiting for your 18 balls. So as cricketers know, the bowling machine, the first few, you're not quite sure where it's going. They're still figuring it out, setting it a little bit differently. And ABC, now I'll go first. I've got an interview I have to do now, so let me go first quickly. I'll go. And he hit 14 out of 18 out the stadium. The next best score was, I think, 6. So it shows that the work that guy's put in, that's unbelievable. How good he is, obviously, but the work he puts in helps him to be that special player.
Definitely.
So AB, the way he plays, obviously helped me massively. Heinrich Klaassen was the captain. I've been friends with him for a long time. David Wiese, so it's not just 1 or 2 players. It's probably 10 or 12, to be honest.
It's a whole collective, and I completely understand that. I think looking at the national setup now that you've played and you've been exposed to it, I mean, we've also seen Cricket South Africa go through some issues behind the scenes as well as some issues in the boardroom. But now that things have settled down a little bit, I mean, Graham Smith is now the director of Cricket South Africa, and also the new coach that you've mentioned had an impact in your career as well, Mark Boucher. We're seeing Jacques Callis as well in terms of being a consultant for the batting for the Proteas as well. Where do you think South Africa is in terms of its cricket powering house status? Because of course in the past we used to be this great and this powerful nation. We went through a rough patch, but I think now there's almost an uptide in the way that things are looking for South African cricket.
Every sports team in the world that's a team goes through ups and downs, dips. England, Australia, India, you name it, they've all gone through dips. They've all kind of had to reevaluate their system, reevaluate their games, new coaching structure, new coach, etc., to try and get back to the top. It was our time to be at the bottom. Yes, we've made a few mistakes, maybe off the field and on the field. I can't really comment on that, but it was our time to be at the bottom, and it's a good time to do that because now we can actually see, all right, what are the other teams doing? How can we improve that, and how can we be better than them? I think at the moment we're probably a mid-table team, like where our rankings suggest, maybe 4th, 5th. But if you look at the Springboks, when Rassie started, they were also, I think they were ranked, I don't know, 5th or 6th going into the World Cup. Yeah. And that's where you want to peak. You want to be at your best when the World Cup comes. So I think, in my opinion, if Graham, Boucher, Enoch, these guys are going to be there, and they're going to must allow them to make an impact. And it's not just going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in a season. Maybe it happens over 3 years. Maybe they finish their term over in 3 or 4 years' time, and then we only start seeing the benefits after that. So, but they must be allowed to do the right things. I think Jock Fall, Graham Smith, these guys, they are cricket people. They've been in it for a very long time, and they will make the right decisions more often than not. But the public must just be patient with the guys and know that they are working very hard. The cricket players are working extremely hard. I mean, we've been sent gym programs now, a squad of, I think we're 66 players or something like that. That's in a winter group program, and some of the training stuff we have to do. I mean, you can only train in a yard for 5 weeks, but they expect of you to be in tip-top shape when this thing's over and when we get back into it. So they are definitely doing the right things, and they have big goals ahead of them. So I think we're in good hands.
Definitely. I love what you mentioned there in terms of that they're getting the guys ready for what will come after the COVID-19 pandemic, which we've seen hit the sporting world and completely disrupt the sporting calendar. And of course, the big tournament, I mean, we saw the 2019 Cricket World Cup that didn't necessarily go too well for South Africa. But now, of course, we are still looking at the T20 Cricket World Cup that is set for Australia in October. That is still on the cards. We haven't heard anything with regards to that, and we are hoping that that one does continue. In terms of your chances, I know it is a T20 World Cup and you made your debut in a T20. Would you like to play in that squad, and what are the chances? Because as you mentioned, you are in a selected group of players that is currently training possibly for that.
Yeah. Chances, I'm not sure. It depends really on who's on form, I'd say, and who's doing well at that stage. 2020 is very much a form game. You don't have time to pick a guy and allow him to find form in a 2020 tournament. So for me, you have to be on form and doing well. And even then, you are competing with very good players, Quinton de Kock, Faf du Plessis, David Miller, guys who have played plenty of games all over the world. I'm not saying I don't have a chance. I'm not saying I don't know. I'm not really too bothered about chances and whether they're going to give me a go or not. My focus, and I try and look at it from this point, from this side, is if they give me an opportunity, I have a job to do, and I'm going to do that job as best as I can. I'm going to play that role as best as I can and try and make an impact and put the opposition under pressure. So if that's good enough to get into the team, it will be great. And if not, that means someone better has gone in my place. So that, obviously that's to the benefit of us winning a cup. So it's not really in my hands. It's not really about me, to be honest. I must just do my job as well as I can, to be honest. They have a very difficult job in picking, 15 players to go to a World Cup out of a group of probably 66, plus you put in AB de Villiers in there. We don't know what the Kolpak situation is going to be. They might be available again. So that can probably shoot up to 90 players. So if all of them are playing well, great. If not all of them are playing well, we pick the guys who, and hopefully and I think they will pick the guys who are playing well. If I play well, I might have a chance. And if I go, great. Yes, that would be a great experience. But then again, it's just a job to do. So, yeah.
Definitely, and of course, we would like to see you there. A local lad is always a good thing to see in a Proteas jersey as well. And of course, I'd like to shift the focus a little bit in terms of more domestic cricket. And I mean, you've been the captain for a while at the VKB Knights. You're quite comfortable in that role. I'd like to get to know the team a little bit better at the VKB Knights. I mean, one thing about cricket is the fact that the locker room can always be a little bit of a mess because you've got kits lying around, you've got bats lying around. Maybe there's a possible player that might be a little bit on the messy side, and of course there are some that are the neatest players in the locker room as well. In terms of your seasons over the years, who's the messiest when it comes to packing their cricket kit, and who's the neatest?
That's a very loaded question because I'm probably the messiest. I like to spray my kit all over so it can dry out. I say so it can dry out nicely, and it's mostly to keep other players out of my space as well. I'd say it's probably myself and Sean von Berg. His nickname's Grubby, so he's a bit messy, but it's probably between us and obviously all the keepers. Yeah, the keepers have got massive kit bags with 4 sets of pads, 15 pairs of gloves, and that's all got to get dry. So the keepers, myself and Sean. So it sounds like all the old boys. The neatest guy, I'd probably say Reinhard van Tonder. You walk into the change room and he's got his bats lined up, from number 1 to number 4. His gloves is lined up number 1 to number 4. He's in the mirror there doing his hair. So yeah, no, it's interesting in the change room, really.
Definitely. And of course, in terms of the travels, when you guys are on the bus, I'm sure that you've got a few jokers and you've got the silent lads. When I used to play cricket, we used to call those the silent assassins. And of course, the ones that sing. In terms of the traveling on the bus, who would you say is the joker, the silent assassin, and of course, the one who is always singing out loud?
Silent assassin in our team is definitely Mbulelo Mbudaza. Yeah, that guy, he doesn't speak a word. He just smiles all the time and sleeps, smiles and sleeps. But pretty funny in a way when he speaks. The joker, again, probably me. I like to, when guys fall asleep, burn them with a lighter or find a way to wake them up. The guy who sings the most, plays the most music, I'd say, is that's a difficult one because all the guys like their different music. Yeah, that's a difficult one. Usually the guys who sit in the back of the bus, they usually have the speaker there playing some tunes. Grant McQueen, if I can think Yeah, that's probably Grant and his crew at the back there. Yeah, whoever's at the back. Patrick Kruger, definitely.
Lacquer. And of course, building into a new season, I'm certain that there'll be a lot of banter, there'll be a lot of fun. In terms of banter on the cricketing field, many people, especially because you're a wiki, many people believe that the slips is the best place for you to be when you want the best banter on a cricketing field. I mean, when you've got a nice fast bowler running in and maybe the batsman gets one to the body, you can always hear the chirping in the slips there. Where would you say, in your opinion, is the best place for the banter on the cricketing field?
Look, firstly, on Crick Info it says I'm a wicket keeper, but I'm actually not. I'm more of a stopper at the back. We have way better keepers than me. I don't know how it's got to wicket keeper being on Crick Info, but I'm literally like if the keeper breaks a finger, I'll go stand back there and catch it. The best banter, definitely when you have a fast bowler, but sometimes when the ball is turning and a team has to block it out, when you have all the guys close in, that's when the best banter comes out. It's not always friendly banter. I remember when we had Marchand de Lange and Dwan Willefeer playing for us a couple of seasons ago. Marchand was playing for the Titans the season before that, and you'd walk out to bat and all you'd hear, the slips would just go, ouch, ouch, it's going to hurt because it'd come for you. And then the next year he was playing for us with Dwan. So it was our turn to stand back there and just say to all the batters, oh, this is coming for you now. The banter on the field, I'd say it's died down quite a bit over the years now. The umpires have, well, not the umpires, but the rules have become a lot stricter with regards to what you're allowed to say, getting into batter space and all that. I think it is for the better because a lot of the times it did get out of hand. It's a lot better now, a lot more manageable, but obviously players still like to get a bit of a dig into the opposition most of the time. Sometimes the banter goes to your own team. You know, we had Keegan Peterson played for us last year. I think he dropped 3 catches in one game. So the banter from our side that went to him was more than the opposition gave him.
Yeah, and I suppose that's also what makes the sport of cricket fun, because you need to have a good laugh, especially when you're playing the whole day in the sun. I mean, a good laugh is also always something that you can enjoy. I think looking at the season that now lies ahead after COVID-19, and of course this is something that we will overcome. You are the captain in terms of going into the future. Now, looking at some of the talent that you guys have acquired as well. For example, somebody like an Alfred that now comes from the Titans as well. Matthew Kleinfeld as well from the Cape Cobras. How are you feeling as a captain building into the new season with some of the talent that you guys have been able to acquire?
Look, every end of every season, you're sitting with almost like it feels like a signing window where, you know, it's a lot of players making calls back and forth. Guys who want to move here, for what amount, what's the deal, what's my playing opportunity, all that. So I think this year, in previous years, we've gone, this is the skill set we want, that's the player we get. Where this year we've gone, what's the personality and the type of person we want to get here with the skill set. So we had a lot of guys that wanted to come into the Knights because they think they can get opportunity here, but they're not necessarily going to fit into our brand of cricket and the way we want to do things. So a guy like Alfred, for example, his skill set fits in perfectly for what we want to do. You know, he bowls a little bit slower, a few cutters. On the Kimberley wicket, he's probably going to be our best bowler. So, but the biggest thing was his personality would have fitted in with us very nicely because he's a hard worker. You know, he's a very good guy to have in the team when it comes to the coach asks us to buy into something. He will be a guy that's going to buy into it and not necessarily fight the system and be a difficult guy in the change room. We have got guys like that, but we need the right balance of that. You can't have 5 or 6 guys that are difficult personalities in the change room and 5 or 6 guys that don't say a word in the change room. So you need a balance of guys that challenge the system, that buy into the system and drive the system and the processes that you want to get. So in the signings we've made, I think we've signed very well. Obviously, all talented players because they all play franchise cricket. They've been earmarked very, very well, but we've made very good signings with regards to what do we need at the Knights for our type of cricket that we want to play, and players who will buy into that.
Definitely. And of course, you mentioned signing well and signing impact players. And of course, the big signing, the most important one sometimes in terms of the headlines, is the fact that Alan Donald will be making his way back to Central South Africa. And of course, he's signed with the VKB Knights. How important and how much of an impact do you believe a player would learn from Alan Donald in terms of learning from one of the greats, but also such a fantastic cricketing personality and a wealth of knowledge in terms of the game? How much of an impact will he have on the VKB Knights going into the 2020-2021 season?
I'd say that was the biggest ace in the hole for us, was getting a guy that's got international experience. He's obviously been Australia's bowling coach, New Zealand's bowling coach, coached in England for how many years, South Africa's bowling coach, a legend of the game. So he knows cricket through and through. He knows the level that's above us. He knows what's happening there. He knows the tactics, what is said in the change room and how it is said, what is said to get the best out of a player at that level. So I think a franchise coach's job is to get players ready for the next level and to drive players into the next level. Well, that's probably a big part of his job. So now we have a guy that can do that, that knows what is expected of us, or knows what is expected of players to get to that level. From a player's point of view, you're sitting with a guy that when he opens his mouth, this guy's a Hall of Famer that says, okay, guys, you need to do 15 laps around the field, for example, or 50 push-ups. It's a Hall of Famer saying that. He's done it. Obviously, it's a lot easier to buy into something like that from a player's point of view. And it's not just the fact that he comes with all the respect. He comes with all the knowledge as well, a massive motivator in the team. Our coaching structure that I'm not sure if he's brought it with him, but the coaching structure that they've changed is Alan Donald comes in, JP Trichard, who was at Northern Cape, coached Northerns last year as well. Hell of a hard worker, great motivator. Gerard Maria was the Titans batting consultant, batting coach at a stage. He's been working he's got an academy in Bloem as well. He's on board as a batting consultant. Morne Castellane, obviously our trainer. That's plenty of probably the most experienced trainer in the country, except for Adrian Leroux, who's the national team trainer. So our coaching staff and the expertise we're putting and the tools we're giving the players are second to none in the country at the moment. So for us, that is a hell of a plus. If we want to lure players to the Knights, we can say, listen, we're sitting with the best coaching structure in the country. If Alan Donald picks up the phone and he phones Mark Boucher and he says, listen, this guy can play, Mark Boucher will listen to Alan Donald. So guys who want to play for South Africa will now seriously consider the Knights as an option to further their careers.
Definitely. And then, of course, in terms of looking at the season that lies ahead after COVID-19, one of the most challenging things for many South Africans at this point in time is, of course, to overcome this national lockdown period. A lot of people are feeling slightly discouraged and feeling a little bit down because we can't necessarily do the things that we would like to do. And, of course, I would like to hear from you. Do you possibly have a special message, a simple message that you would just like to send to all South Africans out there as we continue to fight this COVID-19 pandemic?
Look, it's not just us. It's all over the world. But I think your basis and what you can control is what you do at home. It's tough. People are losing their jobs. They're going hungry. They're starving. In the poorer areas. But the rules I feel the rules are there that government has put in place to keep the large part of the community and of the population safe, and they are trying to keep us safe. Whether we agree with that or not, they have experts obviously advising them in what to do. So hang tight, sit tight, let them guide us. They are the ones that we entrust to make the decisions, and we should trust them to try and make the right decisions. Whether we always agree with it or not, it's not really up to us. It's like the captain making a bowling change that you don't always agree with, or we just change the batting lineup. We have to trust that it's in the best interest of the country as a whole. So let's sit tight, let's hang in there. We're already down to level 4, so we've got 3 hours of outside time that you can do, but let's stick to the rules when we do that. Let's stick to the rules when we go back to work. when schools reopen, let's be careful about this. There is, like you said earlier, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. We will get over this, but it's up to us how quickly we get there. So everyone has a responsibility. This is now a 60 million team game we're playing against this COVID thing. And if everyone buys into what we want, it's not going to be like it, but if we can get a large majority buying into it, we will get out on top and we'll get there quickly.
Definitely. And I
don't know if
completely...
that's like in that message.
No, that's a
Yeah,
powerful message. That's a powerful message. Listen, I just want to thank you so much. And of course, we look forward to overcoming this COVID-19 pandemic. And most importantly, we look forward to the 2020-2021 season for the VKB Knights. A lot of exciting things that lie ahead for both Alan Donald, for you as a captain, for the team as a whole. And then ultimately, I just want to thank you so much for your time. You're a great role model in terms of young South African cricketers that are consistently working hard to achieve their dreams every single day. And most importantly, you're a great family guy. And ultimately, you're just a great South African. So I just want to say thank you so much, Pite van Biljon, for being a great example and being an absolutely fantastic South African.
Can you just send me this last little bit? I just want to play it to my wife. So she knows that I'm actually not a bad.
I'll definitely do so. I'll definitely do so. Don't stress about that. But on a serious note, thank you so much for all that you're doing for this country. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Cheers, Pite. Have yourself a good one. We'll chat soon.